Uh, like every school in the country, Division I school in the country, when signing day shows up, it's an exciting day. And at this moment, every one of these guys is a great player until they prove otherwise. But we kind of matched what we were looking for. I mean, there's certain positions that we had to increase the depth at because of our overall depth chart. And then we took some guys, like especially at quarterback, we took an extra guy because the quarterbacks we've recruited here lately are really, really good athletes. So if they're not in the rotation at quarterback or something, they're good enough athletes that they might play someplace else, even though all of them will get a shot at being a quarterback first. Any questions?
As far as the incoming O-linemen, do you see anybody that are maybe physically able right now and have the body and the skills to start immediately or contribute?
I think that's a good question. Obviously, two of them are junior college guys. So you anticipate junior college guys being a little more mature and physically able to handle the beating that offensive lineman would take. That doesn't mean the freshman won't be given an opportunity. The freshman will be given an opportunity. But most of the time, a true freshman doesn't have the physical maturity level to play at this level right out off the bat, even though some have in the past, but very few. So I would guess that the two junior college guys would have the best chance of playing next year, especially one of them. I mean, one of them's 25 or 26 years old and has been in the Marines, so he's got a good chance of being mature enough to handle the physical. Wouldn't you say that? I know I'm not going to make him mad. I'll tell you that.
Can you just talk a little bit how you got involved and how you found him and what it was like getting a chance to talk to him and seeing his background and what he was about?
Coach McDaniels recruits that area, and he was at Long Beach City College. And if you look at our overall depth chart, if you happen to see, there was a real void in there in the offensive line at the junior group, sophomore junior group. There's hardly any guys there. We have 4 seniors. We had 4 seniors last year. We have 4 seniors this year. And then right behind that, there's nobody. And then the class right behind that, there's only 2. Now, last year we took 4 freshmen to try to build that up. So we felt like we had to get a couple junior college guys in there to kind of split the difference. And so we actually recruited probably 6 or 7 JC offensive linemen. And then the 2 that decided to come here, we think fit the mold. And then you get to know Justin a little bit better because he's on a trip and he gets to tell you war stories and everything, which makes an impression. Now, first of all, he's a great big guy. When he walks in, he demands respect. But then you actually start talking to him, and it's a lot different than talking to every other one of those recruits on that list. I mean, he's a man that has had some unique experiences that will really add a lot of things to our team other than just him playing.
A lot of coaches talked about when they were cycling through and building that fence in San Diego. You got 8 of 24 from local here. Is it important to you to keep the guys in San Diego, and why?
Well, first of all, our recruiting is built inside out, if that makes sense. We hit the San Diego schools first. We evaluate the San Diego players first, and then we move from here on out. Mostly California, but we also go to Texas and Arizona and Nevada. We move out from the San Diego area. We don't go to Orange County or L.A. until we've evaluated every potential player in San Diego. And we don't go to Northern California or Arizona or Nevada until we've evaluated every kid that's a possible in San Diego. Because I think you build it from the inside out. You build it from the closest to home out. Now, saying that, there'll never be a fence around San Diego, ever. No matter how good we get or no matter what league we're in, there'll never be a fence where you'll keep every kid at home. Anywhere, any place, any city, any state, because most young men of 17 and 18 years old want to go away from home. I know I did, and if you ask all the recruits that went someplace else, they're so excited. Now they're probably going to come back maybe and live here the rest of their lives, but I would guess 90% of 18-year-olds want to be away from mom and dad so they can be their own guy. So it'll be impossible to put a fence around San Diego, if that's the term, if that's the right term. But we always work from closest to home out, because you'd like to have kids that have support and fans that helps build helps build your team in the community. You'd like to do that, but guess what? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way most places.
So you say the biggest advantage of keeping guys at home then would be building community support and kind of.
Well, plus I think they have a better chance of success because they have support systems already in place when guess what, they have a bad day at school or something goes wrong in their lives. Their family's right there to support them. They don't have to get on a plane to go home, or their parents don't have to fly to see them play. And I mean, there's some real advantages, but then I say that, and I know what 18-year-old guys want to do. Most of them want to leave home.
Now that Dylan Baxter has left home and come back, how's he going to fit in with Ronnie Hillman? You gonna have a two-back offense? You gonna alternate him?
Well, hopefully we're watching Ronnie play in the NFL. Baxter, I don't know. He's got a whole year and a half before he can play for us, so I'm not worried about him.
What about offering a long snapper and kicker? How many times have you done that in your
I've only done it a couple times. I think I've only offered out of high school. I think I've only offered one other deep long snapper, and I think I've only offered I don't know, not very many. Normally it's a position that you let guys walk on, and then you pick whoever does the best. You give them a scholarship. I think that has changed dramatically with everything getting more hyped, with recruiting services, with websites. I don't think you have as many people forgotten or left behind, and so you don't have near as many guys that are going to walk on that are good and prove themselves.
What made Overbaugh and McMorrow? What did you see in them that made them so special to offer them scholarships?
They kickers nowadays, kickers and punters and deep snappers go to camps where they do skill work and everything is filmed. So you're able to evaluate kickers and punters better than you used to too. That's another reason. You can time them. You can watch their fundamentals. You can see that. And in our opinion, Overbaugh was the best high school deep snapper that we saw on all those films we watched at every kicking camp. Seamus is when we went looking for a punter and a kicker, we wanted a guy that did both, which he does. And then we watched all these kickers and punters on film, and then so I told the coaches that were recruiting I didn't want just a kicker and a punter. I wanted an athlete. And guess what? Seamus started for them at free safety. And I think in the last week's All-Star game, he had a fake punt for 26 yards and then kicked the winning field goal. That's a pretty good athlete if you ask me. So not only is he a pretty good kicker and punter, he's an athlete. And I think that's important nowadays because athletes, kickers and punters, are not put in a stressful situation except every once in a while. Athletes that play all the time, they're in a stressful situation every play. So there's less chance that he's going to choke it up when it's important. I expect him to compete at both. Now, we actually have a walk-on deep snapper in our program already. We have a walk-on punter in our program already. We have a walk-on kicker in our program already. So just like every other position around here, those guys aren't walking in and given the job. They're going to have to walk in and prove they're better than the guys that are already here. But he'll do both in practice, yes.
Coach, there was a lot of speculation about Dylan Baxter coming back or coming here to San Diego State. Can you talk a little bit about what went into getting him, or who approached you guys?
Dylan acted like he wanted to come home after his experience. So we gave him a chance. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad someone noticed that because I keep hearing even our coaches talk on video cam or whatever. I see them talking about our 5 quarterbacks, and I think we have 6. But Favreau is just like Matt Morin. The only difference is Matt's already here, and so he has a better chance in spring practice to prove he can play. Both of them are excellent athletes that have played other positions. And here we're back to athletes. I think that the day of the classic drop back quarterback is fading fast. Even in the NFL, the drop back quarterback is fading fast. They're wanting guys to be able to run with the ball where they can run zone reads and scramble around and buy more time and gain yardage with their legs. So we are recruiting quarterbacks that are also athletes. And the idea that the best 2 quarterbacks stay at quarterback, because I think that's the most important position on your team. And if a guy is not going to be one of the 2 top quarterbacks, guess what? A drop back guy can't play anyplace else. Where an athlete can play a whole bunch of other places. Running back, wide receiver, defensive back, linebacker. Yes, we recruit them with that philosophy in mind for us. Their philosophy is they're a quarterback, and they don't want to play anyplace else. They're a quarterback. So what you do is tell them, and we're truthful. We give them a shot to be a quarterback, and if they're one of the top 2 quarterbacks, they stay at quarterback. Now, my experience tells me that if you're not one of the top 2 quarterbacks, and you tell a young man he's got a chance to start at another position. I've been coaching a long time. I've only had one guy say I'd rather be the 3rd string quarterback. Every other player that we've ever done that with says, "You mean I can start over there?" Yeah, you can start over there. They go change their jersey that moment. He stayed the 3rd string quarterback his whole career and never stepped on the field. So that's his fault. No, I wouldn't say that. I'd say 2 or 3 of them could move by next January. Because the 2 freshmen, if they're not in the rotation, we'd redshirt them. And they would be our scout team quarterbacks. And if they're in the rotation, they'll be playing quarterback probably the whole time they're here. That's kind of the same story as the offensive line. If you look at the offensive line, we have the year before we had 3 starting seniors. Last year we had 3 starting seniors, and now there's only 1 senior out there in the defensive line, and he's a walk-on. So it happened where there was a transition between coaches. Okay, when there was a transition between coaches, there was a lot of people that left the program, and most of them happened to be linemen. So we had a void in the junior, 3rd year, 4th year guys. There's a real void in both the offensive and defensive line. So now you can go wholesale and recruit nothing but junior college guys, but then you're fighting that battle every 2 years. So we've chosen the defensive line just to go with young guys, and eventually, which gets me to a point that we're going to be really, really young up front next year, get to a point where we have them stair-stepped, where we have 2 or 3 seniors, we have 2 or 3 juniors, we have 2 or 3 sophomores all the way. So you never have the kind of void of senior defensive linemen that we're going to have next season.
Of course, Morin and Queen are both from Temecula. You were talking about going San Diego first. Temecula, which is theoretically in Riverside County, the CIF southern section, is that within your San Diego area, or is that considered the...
No, I don't consider that the San Diego area. I think some of them out there do. I mean, you get to Temecula, I think they still consider themselves San Diego. But once whatever that hill is, once you get over that hill, I think that's not really San Diego County anymore. But if we're going from home out, they're the very next group we hit, them in Orange County.
In terms of needs that you wanted to address and areas in your depth chart that you wanted to flesh out, are you happy with this group that you
happy. I think we're missing 2 guys. I'd have liked to had a one more safety and one more linebacker. Now we actually, with our transfer guys, we've got 2 linebackers that are here for the first time that we actually signed last year. So that helps the linebacker position a little bit. But I still would have liked to have a freshman linebacker and a freshman free safety, or a free safety type guy. And there's always a chance you might find them here pretty quick. Everybody's hunting them. We were 1 day short on a defensive end that committed to TCU. Nobody was recruiting him.